So we were over at Glenn and Libby's house last month doing our monthly Bible study on a Saturday. And so Glenn brought up, was telling us about the book. It's called Bible Words and Theological Terms Made Easy, a practical handbook. And this is a good book. It gives us definitions of terms that we use when we're in the assembly here. And these are terms that people in the world don't really necessarily understand, and some members don't understand. So I'm going to talk about God's Word for a few minutes tonight. So of all the bibliological creatures in the earth, humans are the only ones that could understand words and understand the meaning of words. A dog may be conditioned to sit upon command, but he just responds to a signal or verbal. He doesn't rationalize. He doesn't understand why he's doing it. He just does it on command. Humans can rationalize and figure out why they do things the way they do. And so that makes us different from the animal kingdom. So God has spoken, as documented in Hebrews 1 and 2. It says, God having of old time spoken unto the fathers and the prophets by divers portions and in divers manners, hath at the end of these days spoken unto us his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, through whom also he made the worlds. So this Bible was inspired of God. These are God's words. It took 40 writers over 16 centuries to write this. But this Bible is weaved fitly together from Genesis to Revelation. And, in my experience, I'm being on committees, you can't get 7 people to agree to write anything in a room, much less 40 over 1600 or 16 centuries, about 1,500 years they estimate. So it has to be inspired by God. The Word constitutes the vehicles of thought. This is God's thoughts coming to us. The Word conveys volumes of meaningful information. The message of human redemption is framed in the words, and without the understanding of certain level of those words, one cannot be saved from his sins. And we read about that in Acts 11:14. It says, who shall speak unto thee words whereby thou shalt be saved? Thou and all thy house. Now, the Bible has all different levels of words. There's some words that, I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's like a 6th grade level. And they're so clear, you have to really work hard to misunderstand it. And then there's words but they're not doctrinal words, but they're words that takes more study and more education. And there's lots of people study the Bible for years and years, and they just can never grasp that 100%. So in the Old Testament contains about 8,600 Hebrew and Aramaic words. The New Testament contains about 5,600 Greek terms. The New Testament is really great because that's a dead language now. So it means what it means. It's not like today, the human language changes all the time. So what was bad 30 years ago is good today. That's a bad looking car, So all languages evolve over time. All right, so I want to look at a few words and see what the definitions are in this book. Let's see. So words from God. Over the past 20th century, various views have been entertained regarding the nature of the Bible. Some people, this is just a book that's a classical book, but we're not held to it. It doesn't have any authority. Some people say, it's just an interesting book, but it's not. It doesn't mean anything to them because they don't understand the words in the Bible. All right, so let's look at the first word I want to look at, the definition is inspired. Okay, inspired. H-I-J-K-L. intercession, inspiration. So in the second letter to Timothy, Paul stated that the scriptures are inspired of God, 2 Timothy 3:16 through 17. The Greek is one word, theonoptis, literally God breathed. So that's God breathed his will. It is an affirmation that God is the ultimate author of the Bible. Inspiration cannot be explained precisely in a manner that human understanding can fathom completely. In some fashion, God was able to use certain men, preserving their personal literary abilities and traits, yet overseeing the process so that the exact will of the divine mind was conveyed through the human instrument. 1 Corinthians 2:11 and following. The Bible contains a wide variety of evidences that establish its heavenly origin. Its inspiration is demonstrated by an amazing unity. Some 40 people, 40 people produced 60 books or documents over a span of 16 centuries. Phenomenal prophecy, more than 1,000 amazingly history written in advance. For example, Isaiah 53 talks about Christ. It just prophesied the death on the cross. So precise. I think that, I can't remember, was that 700 years in advance? Does that ring a bell? But who can prophesy that far? No one. The Bible also evidences divine control and authorship by virtue of what it does not say. The Bible also evidences divine control and authorship by virtue of what it does not say. It contains no description of God or Christ. It omits most of Christ's 33 years upon the earth. Now, if somebody started a church, wouldn't you brag about yourself for 30 years? There's a lot of stuff mentioned, but humans would say, I was a great kid, I grew up to be a great leader, but the Bible leaves that out, so that's because of inspiration. These are matters that surely would have been included in the work of human design. The early writers, Paul and Peter, were willing to die rather than forfeit their claim that they were spokesmen for God in the documents they produced. All right, so I'm going to do one more definition. That's in it. The rapture. We sang about rapture tonight. Was that the song? I can't remember which song it was. Yeah, okay. So we talk about rapture, and the world's there's lots of views on rapture. Okay, R-A. The word derives from the Latin term rapio, to snatch. The corresponding Greek expression is harpazo, signifying caught up, as in 2 Corinthians 12:2 and 4, or caught away, Acts 8:39. At the time of Christ's return to raise the dead, John 5:28 through 29, Acts 24:15. The Lord's people will be caught up to be with him evermore, 1 Thessalonians 4:17. The wicked dead will also be raised, but they will appear before the judge of the earth to receive their final sentence. The term rapture has become an important element in the dogma of dispensationalism. The theory alleges that in the near future Christ will return to rapture his saints, and wicked are said to remain in their graves. Supposedly this rapture will occur in connection with a 7-year tribulation period. For some, the rapture will occur at the beginning of the tribulation period. For others, it will be at the midpoint or at the end. This rapture, it is contended, will herald a 1,000-year reign of Christ upon the earth. This theory is unfounded, being based upon a misunderstanding of Revelations 21, verse 1 and following. In the same Thessalonian correspondence, the coming of Christ is treated as a single event, impacting both believers and unbelievers. 2 Thessalonians 1:6 through 10, the rapture dogma was unknown prior to the 1800s. So this gives you a little definition. It's great as a Christian to have this in your library, and I'd recommend it. Okay, so that's my lesson for tonight. So if anyone is subject to the invitation's being extended to you now. We ask that you come as we stand and sing.